Welcome back to Global Business Europe with Jamie Owen and Robin Dwyer. As the fighting in Ukraine continues, the country is still trying to deal with more than 7 million people who fled the violence and moved to safer parts of the country.
Well, let's talk now to our correspondent Nick Harper in one of those supposedly safer areas, the city of Mukachevo in western Ukraine. Nick, communities there clearly showing the strain under the enormous numbers of Ukrainians fleeing the fighting.
Yeah, Jamie, that's absolutely right. As you mentioned, we're in Mukachevo in western Ukraine. Now, on the surface, this area is a very long way from the fighting. The capital, Kiev, is a couple of 100 miles in that direction behind me. But the impact of the fighting is being felt here. As we've been driving around the last couple of days, there are some very visible military installations that have been put in important points along roads. Important strategic buildings like the railway station behind me has had sandbags put around it and inside it. And it's not uncommon to be stopped on the main roads by military checkpoints. And the people we've been speaking to are saying that they are beginning to feel the strain. They've seen prices beginning to increase, depending on who you ask, anywhere between 10% and 30%. And some goods are becoming in short supply. Gasoline, for example, is harder to get your hands on at certain petrol stations. And then, of course, there is the human impact. This region of the country, the Transcarpathia region of Ukraine, is a poorer part of the country. But what we've seen is a real flood of migrants, internally displaced people who are coming to this part of the country. We sat down earlier on today, we spoke to the governor of the region, and he said he always knew that this corner was going to get that huge flood of internally displaced people. He reckons around 300,000 have come to this area in the last few weeks alone. And towns, only a handful of them, have had to deal with all of those people who are coming here. But what we've also noticed is an immense sense of solidarity from the people, that the Ukrainians who live here are standing ready to help the Ukrainians who are coming here. In Ukraine's west, far from the front lines, it's easy to forget this is a country in conflict. In Uzhhorod, people are out walking, visiting cafes, doing their shopping. But this has become a town of refuge for tens of thousands of people who've fled here since the fighting began. Bogdan Epimenko and his mother have just picked up their latest free supplies from one of the collection points.
We've been moving from hotel to hotel for 1 week so far. We haven't found an apartment yet. We're still looking for one. Maybe in 2 days we'll move into a hostel.
They escaped Kharkiv in the northeast, where they'd spent a week living underground in the city's subway tunnels.
It's my father.
A disability prevented Bogdan from signing up to fight, but his father and brother have.
I'm in contact with my father, and my father's now in the Sumy Oblast region, defending the borders. It's very dangerous to talk on the phone right now. He sometimes sends pictures. He just says, "How are you feeling? All right or all bad?"
The families, mainly mothers and children, have similar stories of leaving husbands and sons to fight while they made their way west. Millions of people have left Ukraine, but many more, now over 7 million, forced from their homes, are arriving in towns like these, in need of food and shelter, and with no idea where they're going to go next. Groups of volunteers are running food halls, offering hot meals, many themselves forced here by the fighting, and now trying to settle locally.
I think a lot of people, they miss their home, their houses, their families. So there are people who are ready to stay. There are people who are ready to move forward. And there, of course, there are people who want to go back and they're waiting for the moment till it's safe. But it's not yet.
It's become a region full of people from other places. But some of Uzhhorod's residents who left have returned. Less than half a mile away are the graves of 12 fallen soldiers, their deaths all within the last few weeks. And already prepared, waiting alongside theirs, is a grave freshly dug
ready for whoever comes home next.
So a long way from the fighting, but the impact of that conflict very much being felt in this region. And as well as the dead being brought to this part of Ukraine, so are some of the casualties. We've been in touch with a couple of military hospitals, one here in Mukachevo, another about 20 kilometers away in Berehov. And we're not being told the exact number of soldiers who are there, but we are being told that they have been sent from the front lines where they've been fighting and where they've been injured here to recover. The mood, according to the governor, amongst the people is one of determination and one of resilience. They feel that they can overcome in this conflict. Jamie?
Nick, thanks for that. Our correspondent Nick Harper in Ukraine.